2018 Peugeot Traveller MPV Review. The good points of Peugeot Traveller MPV: high driving position, nicely appointed dashboard and interior, efficient and punchy engine range, even at entry level. It takes 8 people, rare at any price. The bad points of Peugeot Traveller MPV: not exciting to push, but when you expect that it is. With every one of the seats set up, the boot is cramped in standard version. Lower spec versions' front seats are rather unsupportive. The Peugeot Traveller is definitely an 8-seater van-based MPV that could appeal to taxi operators and enormous families. It's one among a select band of vehicles that may carry 8 people. Its principal rivals would be the Ford Tourneo Custom, Volkswagen Caravelle and Mercedes-Benz V-Class. Like its rivals, it can accommodate the motorist, plus 7 passengers, with the exception that in terms of manufacturer shop price and repayments, the Peugeot costs less than its Ford and Volkswagen rivals. Peugeot also promises what has expert van-based MPV will set you back less to own, thanks to its efficient Bluetooth diesels. The most efficient Euro 6 1.6-liter models average 55.4 miles per gallon on official fuel test, and emit 133 gkm of CO2. Active and Allure trim levels, plus 3 engines. The model range is simple when it comes to trim levels. You obtain the entry-level Active version, or its plusher Allure sister. Even the starter Traveller is well equipped considering its van origins, so you have climate control, parking sensors and cruise control. There are 5 diesel engine options to choose between, ranging in power between 95,180 horsepower. The full lineup appears to be this: 1.6-liter Bluetooth 95 horsepower, 5-speed manual, 144 gkm. 1.6-liter Bluetooth 95 horsepower S&S, EG6 Auto, 135 gkm. 1.6-liter Bluetooth 115 horsepower S&S, 6-speed manual, 133 gkm above. 2.0-liter Bluetooth 150 horsepower S&S, 6-speed manual, 139 gkm. 2.0-liter Bluetooth 180 horsepower S&S, EG6 Auto, 151 gkm. Peugeot Traveller 1.6-liter Blue HDI driving. The smaller on the 2 diesel engines can be purchased in 2 states of tune. Both push out competitive degrees of torque 210 Nm, but its 115 horsepower version may be the one you'll need if you're doing plenty of miles and regularly carrying passengers. Although the 0.62 miles per hour use of 13.4 seconds and 98 miles per hour maximum speed wouldn't seem to set the entire world alight, on the highway, the Traveller just isn't lacking in performance. It accelerates smartly, and is also refined over the rev range. Does not do it feel stressed, regardless if climbing steep hills. You need change gear a great deal to keep it flowing swiftly. But the 6-speed manual gearbox is light and reasonably slick utilized, and you'll not find changing between gears a chore. Peugeot Traveller 2.0-liter Blue HDI driving. Just like its smaller sibling, each 0.0-liter is sold with 2 power outputs, 150 and 180 horsepower. There's lots of pulling power on offer, with 370 and 400 Nm, respectively, to experience with, and unless you're moving into the Alps and fully laden, neither will struggle. If you desire an automatic with all the larger engine, you need to choose the 6-speed automatic version. In reality, few drivers will manage to benefit from looking for the 180 horsepower derivative. Like the 1.6-liter version, performance isn't a high priority, but neither will it feel lacking. The claimed 0.62 miles per hour times for both the 150 horsepower and 180 horsepower versions are 11.0 seconds, whilst the maximum speed furthermore, is identical at 106 miles per hour. It doesn't drive much like a van. Let's be truthful here, it's highly unlikely that handling will probably be high on the number of your priorities when it comes to buying a Traveller. But equally, drivers now demand all vehicles to become easy to push, and efficient at going around corners without having to be scary. And on that score, the Traveller passes muster. It is easy to operate a vehicle, though, with great all-around visibility for that high-set driving position, slim pillars and acres of glass. The steering is light, albeit low-geared and low in feel, therefore you will ought to twirl your arms a great bit in tighter turns. But it's simple to place while traveling, feels solid and secure, and despite being almost 5 meters in size it feels nice and maneuverable in tighter spaces. Even the turning circle is tight, although, at 4 turns from lock to lock, you'll believe it is a cumbersome process figuring out. Inside the Traveller. Again, it's about expectations. If you're expecting the Traveller to become more such as a more car-based MPV, in the driver's seat, then you're going for being disappointed. The driving position is extremely upright, of course. If you're considered one of the cheaper models, your front seat passenger is going to be treated for the joys of a 2-seat bench. In short, it will little to conceal its commercial vehicle origins. Search used Peugeot MPVs available. But that being said, it's 1 million miles far from vans of old. It might not be overburdened with soft-touch plastics to communicate enough. Nevertheless, the dash design echoes the ones from other previous generation cars. The design looks cohesive, the dashboard simple to watch, and also the controls logically arranged. If you're familiar using the PSA technique of laying things out, the column-mounted cruise control as being a good example. Creature comforts and generous equipment. The touchscreen infotainment system is undoubtedly an older system, but works reasonably well once you've worked towards you around it. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and Mirror Link are common there, and essentially render the common signal you receive in the more luxurious models obsolete. The Traveller can be a people carrier, so it's unsurprising that it's been set up for comfort. The ride quality is extremely good. And yes, it's particularly effective in ironing out irregularities on rougher roads. Engine and wind noise both in 1.6 and a pair of .0-liter forms are kept well down, while road noise is minimal, even on larger 17-inch wheels. The verdict. The commercial vehicle origins in this MPV are undeniable, however, do work inside Traveller's favor. It's roomy and efficient. These aspects alone result in the Traveller great at long distance, traveling. The front seats are large, but for the firm side, and however the seating position is for the upright side, it's perfectly comfortable on long runs, once you're acclimatized going without running shoes. Passengers from the mid and rear rows get less of any good ride. There's obviously ample headroom, but legroom is correct, especially inside the third row. But thanks on the ample glass area, it feels light and airy, and you'll never get complaints about feeling closed in. At launch you will discover only 2 engines available, and like a family car, BMW 2 Series Active Tourer performance isn't a priority. All are based on a new modular construction. Either 1.5-liter 3-cylinder examples or larger 2.0-liter units with 4 cylinders, and fitted transversely sideways as an alternative to lengthways underneath the car's bonnet. Petrol engines. the 218i, and that is actually a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine, produces 134 bhp and may sprint from 0-62 miles per hour in a mere 9.2 seconds. It's a remarkably refined unit, without the giveaway that by most conventions it truly is missing a cylinder, and responds perfectly perkily from low down from the rev range, though it lets you do its best higher up the rev range. Equally hushed at speed, 2 Series Active Tourer owners will probably be more concerned about refinement than straight-line performance. Those which do crave more will need to wait until November, if the 218i is supplemented from the 220i and 225i X-Drive. The latter provides up to 227 bhp, and is included with the firm's 4-wheel drive X-Drive and 8-speed automatic gearbox as standard. Diesel engines. If economy and efficiency will be the priorities, then it's the 218d that may likely catch your eye. This 2.0-liter 4-cylinder diesel is able to emit only 109 gkm, but they can sprint from 0-62 miles per hour in 8.9 seconds, due to its 148 bhp and 330 Nm of torque. The 3-cylinder petrol has it licked for refinement, although diesel does feel more willing around the move. Like the petrol engines, the 218d is joined in November from the 216d and 220d, and in the event you wish, the 220d can also be available with X-Drive, where it really is fitted with all the 8-speed automatic gearbox as standard. Gearboxes. There are 3 gearboxes to choose between: the especially smooth and efficient 8-speed automatic, as well as for 3-cylinder engines a 6-speed version. Those who would prefer to swap cogs themselves will quickly realize BMW's 6-speed manual gearbox instead, which is very easy to use, which has a short throw and relaxed shift action. Once regarded, or at best marketed as being the ultimate driving machine, the introduction of an front-wheel drive BMW, and specifically a small people carrier, shocked the BMW purists. However, if you're hot for the firm's products along with their driving appeal, then have no fear. While the 2 Series Active Tourer won't trouble an M3 around a racetrack, it really is as sharp because of its familiar-oriented competitors. In fact, still feels as being a BMW to operate a vehicle, regardless of the change in engine and transmission layout, as well as for most drivers you'd be hard-pushed to get noticeable the rear wheels aren't being driven. Plus there's 4-wheel drive X-Drive models being provided 225i and 220d later within the year too. The cars we drove featured the optional electronic damper control, that enables drivers to tailor your vehicle's responses on their requirements and road conditions. Variable sports steering is surely an option, and from connection with other BMW products using this fitted, it can make a visible difference for keen drivers, regardless of whether that's definitely not who this vehicle is geared towards. Regardless, body control is fantastic, and both the Series Active Tourer corners flatly and without fuss, even at speed. It's easily as good drive an automobile as the Ford Ka-Max or Golf SV. That's in spite of the car's 1,563 mm high, along with part down towards the wide 1,561 mm front and 1,562 mm rear track. There is, however, firmness for the chassis that never quite disappears, which implies the Citroën C4 Picasso has a much more comfortable ride. As expected, each Series Active Tourer comes that includes BMW's electronic stability control system, but like its X models X1, X3 and X5 as an example, you are able to thoughtfully disengage the device. Even so, not many of the compact people carriers will venture onto a track. BMW expects around 75% of 2 Series Active Tourer buyers into the future from conquest sales, as well as the other 25% which can be likely in the future from the firm's other models. The cabin layout are going to be relatively familiar. The layering form of the dashboard is one thing we've seen along the rest on the range, as could be the freestanding multi-function display screen inside center, even though the instruments are certainly much like those found elsewhere too. That said, a number of the switchgear has gotten an update, one of the most noticeable being the climate controls, which look vaguely similar to an Audi system, plus the automatic gear lever is really a different design to prospects we have seen from your firm. You'll probably have to do some time to familiarize yourself together with the iDrive interface, unless you're a BMW owner, through which instance you'll wonder how we ever managed without this intuitive control system. Add to that excellent material quality, fit and take care of, plus neat switchgear, and the two main series active Tourer's cabin is among the highlights. Built to handle families, it must be no surprise that BMW 2 Series Active Tourer comfort was near the top in the firm's priority list during development. Certainly, the seats are normally BMW of their range of adjustment, there's plenty, without excuse for not discovering the right driving position. That said, you are doing sit 30 mm higher than inside the maker's X1 Junior 4x4, and yes, it feels high on the driving seat. Along while using seat adjustment at the start, there's a good amount of reach and rake movement inside the steering wheel too. On the move, especially inside 3-cylinder petrol model, each series active Tourer impresses. On this engine probably the most noticeable noise is through the wind, as opposed to the pistons, unless you're really accelerating hard. The diesel isn't quite as serene, however once you've reached your desired cruising speed it quickly settles to some hush note, with merely a little vibration with the controls. An underlying firmness to your suspension that enables the BMW to corner much better than a Citroën C4 Picasso by way of example, includes you can feel most with the ruts and bumps below you though, and that's without selecting sport mode from the adjustable suspension. But even though the ride isn't pillow soft, it's rarely wearing, and customarily very well composed. There are 4 trim ways for the BMW 2 Series Active Tourer within the UK. The entry-level SE is supplemented by Sport, Luxury and M Sport models. Standard BMW 2 Series Active Tourer equipment. Regardless which trim you ultimately choose, all BMW 2 Series Active Tourers come well equipped, as you'd in answer to their post £20,000 starting price. Practicality is taken care of together with the automatic tailgate, which hides the 402,040 split rear seat and 6,040 sliding base with electronic folding, and that means you don't need to clamber around from the rear watchy to facilitate large loads. Life's made in the same way easy for your drive because of Bluetooth connectivity and also a USB interface for your BMW professional radio with single CD player, which allows for audio streaming and supplies DAB radio. Everything is displayed for the central freestanding, as will be the current fashion 6.5-inch monitor. Keeping occupants cool will be the dual-zone climate control system, while rain and light-await sensors activate the headlights and wipers automatically, and rear parking sensors mean there's no excuse for backing into anything unexpected. Drive performance control with EcoPro helps save fuel, as a result of efficiency tips, as well as the car may be started about the button without a key. If buyers fancy something somewhat sportier, then it's the £1,250 more costly Sport model which will catch their eye, adding 17-inch alloy wheels as an alternative to 16-inch items, sports front seats, LED ambient lighting and tweaks to your interior trim and exterior styling. Next within the lineup would be the luxury model, £2,000 more than the conventional SE. That's liable to bring with it 17-inch alloy wheels of a different design, leather seats, LED ambient lighting, chrome exterior details and wood trim about the interior. November 2014 sees the rollout of M Sport models, costing an additional £3,000 in the SE specification cars, and change the look with the car on account of an aerodynamics package, specific M Sport suspension, 18-inch M Sport alloy wheels and sports tire and seat combination. Optional BMW 2 Series Active Tourer accessories. There exist several options packages available for the BMW 2 Series Active Tourer, each offering a fortune of extra kit at a lower price cost compared to individual items added together. The technology package adds a reversing camera, comfort access, allowing you to open the boot with just a swing of your respective foot below the back bumper, and adaptive LED headlights. Choose the Navigation Plus package and you're treated to some new 8.8-inch full-color display, connected drive services with real-time traffic information as well as a head-up display. There's also the typical navigation package with smaller screen and regular traffic information along with a driver comfort package with adaptive cruise control and park assist. After how the list is extensive, and includes the panoramic glass sunroof, which floods the cabin with light, so that it is feel even larger, along with the upgraded Harman Kardon speakers, active cruise control as well as trim and color choices. At the second BMW 2 Series Active Tourer, safety has still to get tested by Euro NCAP, however we could surmise, all signs other products in BMW's lineup, that it's going to either gain a full 5 stars or come very close going without running shoes. Certainly it's got a lot of safety kit aboard as standard, including 2 rear ISOFIX mounting points and 1 inside the front passenger seat. And if the worst should happen, plus you've got an accident, BMW Emergency Call will automatically contact you together with inform your neighborhood emergency services if any from the car's airbags are deployed. A raft of connected drive options further increase both the Series Active Tourer's safety, with adaptive LED headlights, a head-up display as well as an active cruise control that could brake if it detects you might be closing for the car right in front, are typical available. On surface of that, Active Guard and Driving Assistance stops via wandering between lanes together with detecting objects and pedestrians in the right path, warning you in their presence, of course, if required braking you to your halt. Space is the vital thing here, and thus BMW 2 Series Active Tourer Practicality is one among the highlights from the entire package. In comparison on the 1 Series, the compact people carrier is 16 mm longer and 25 mm wider. Despite a fractionally shorter wheelbase, both the series boasts more interior space, with rear legroom comparable to some 7 Series. Certainly, it's no issue for a full-sized adult to sit down behind another in complete comfort. That rear bench slide forward or backwards too, varying the mix between boot and passenger space as required, though there's no full removal option. This reaches to beyond the passenger space too, and using the rear seats electronically folded flat, the strained space resembles that in the firm's 3 Series Touring. The 2 Series Active Tourer sports a really wide rear hatch opening too, only to make loading larger items easier. Including the underfloor utility area, there's nearly 460 liters of space available. If you've got longer circumstances to carry, next the optional folding front passenger seat is usually a worthwhile option. 2 ISOFIX points are standard from the rear, together with 1 around the front passenger seat, and BMW say an electrical handbrake has been used to free up space within the cabin. Overall it feels spacious, although the layered kind of the dashboard signifies that taller front seat passengers will notice their knees knocking from the lower section on the dashboard throughout the glove box area.